What's going on, people? Today in the shop, we are blessed with a 2007, I believe, KX450F. This bike was in here last year for some fork seals and a few other things. This season, he's ready for a fresh set of meats. We're gonna put some new tubes in there. He's got a leak in the rear. We're also going to give this thing a fresh tune-up. Spark plug, gap, check the carb, air filter. We're gonna run through this thing for him, make sure it's ready to go for the season. We'll check his chain, axle lube, spokes, just give it a once over. So that is where we're at. Let's dig in. All right, since we are going to do tubes and tires on this bike, let's go ahead and get this thing in the air on the pump stand. Go ahead and remove these tires, get these tires broke down, check his rims, throw the new tubes and tires on. Also, we're going to be putting fresh oil filter in this bike. So, man, if you guys work on a lot of bikes, you don't have one of these pump stands, it's the way to go. All right, with our axle set up here, got our cotter pin out. Go ahead and bust this axle nut off. Oops. Get our block removed. We got a parts tray going already up here. I don't know what we got going on here. Looks just like, I don't know, regular grease. That'll work. It really, see, the problem with running regular grease on these is it really doesn't penetrate our links. So we want something that's going to penetrate our links. And then as far as lubing the chain, want to run something that's going to keep the water and everything out. So we can run, some chain guard. This stuff's really good. Also this chain lube, it doesn't fling off. Those are a couple options we like to use. Grease will work. It's not the best scenario, like I said, because the grease really doesn't penetrate anything, and all it really does is attract other stuff. So we really want to run a two-part lube on these chains. Something to penetrate to lube the links internally and in between, and then also a chain protector that keeps everything out and keeps your lube in. So we will deter this a little bit, get him set up right. See if we can walk this axle out. Good, we're not all seized up. That's great.
You sure about that?
All right, with that most of the way out, we'll slide this out of here, walk this chain off. In case you didn't know, dirt bikes usually come with an axle holder right there in the exhaust pipe. Get our chain off of here, and what an idiot! Get this one off here. Good deal. Nothing's too crazy tight or seized up, like I said, because we did have this front end off last year. First strip complete. Next task, switch. Already got this new front mounted up, spokes tightened and whatnot. There's the old one. Got the rear dismounted, and show you guys this rim strip here. So, see this rim strip that goes around to protect the spokes from hitting. All these are dry rotted and pushing through. So we'll definitely get that off there. We got a brand new one to install, so let's get it on. Before we put these tires back on, our front axle came out really easy because we cleaned that when we did the fork seals last season. This rear axle, definitely dry, so we are going to take this, clean it up on the wire wheel, grease it, and not have it stick when we put it back in. See what that, just that little bit of wire wheeling does to really polish up that surface, get rid of this surface rust. And you can also tell where the bearing rides, how we're starting to get a little bit of pitting there. Not worth a new axle at this point, but totally preventable. We take these out each season, clean them and lube them. Our seals seem like they're in pretty good shape. We're going to go ahead and grease these up so they're not running dry. We're also going to grease our bearing spacers and seal caps on the outside where the seal surface rides, on the inside where the axle goes. Pop that back in there. Do our other side. Same thing. Greasy, greasy, greasy.
What are you playing with?
Our seal cup around the seal surface that's going to ride on the inside of that. The inside of this, where the axle goes, that one's ready to put on. And we're going to give the same attention to our rear. We're also going to lube as much as we can inside that axle tube slide. These have the same type of spacers and Seal cups. Lube those up. You don't want this flinging everywhere and get excessive, so. Perfect. Other side. Obviously, we did clean this off first. Get any old grease out of there. And as much as we can get on the inside.
You want me to play with it? I'll play with it.
Our other seal cup retainer. Yeehaw. Go ahead and pre-lube our axle here too. You can see those lines where these bearings are riding. So we got, like I said, most of that, all that cleaned off, but to keep these lubed, they really won't pit. So hopefully this will go in a lot easier than it came off. It wasn't too bad, but definitely more fight than it should have been. This is our front axle. And we don't want a ton on here, just enough to make it a thin coat. Get it off our threads. Perfect, that's ready to go in. Same way, you can see all that pitting on that. Right there. So it's as clean as it's going to come. I'm going to lube this the same way.
I need an old priest and a young priest.
With our axle flush on this side, we're going to go ahead and cinch down our lower fork clamp. Just on this side, we're going to center this wheel. So, alright, with the wheel centered, we're going to rotate this wheel, and we're going to take our front brake, lock it up a few times so it stops that wheel. What it's going to do is it's going to center our wheel with our brake. We're not going to have any rubbing issues on our pad. Alright, with that centered up, we're going to go ahead and lock down our other fork leg and then tighten our axle nut on this side. This kind of keeps everything straight when you're putting it on. That way nothing gets in a bind. So, alright, just to verify we're rolling free, easy front brake grab. Go ahead and cinch down our outer axle nut here. Once this is on the ground, we'll torque it to spec. Now that our wheels are on, we're going to go ahead and go through the spokes. Teach you guys how to do that real quick, just down and dirty. So we'll grab our spoke wrenches here. They make special torque wrenches for these spokes. I used to have one, lost it. I kind of got a feel for how tight they need to be, but reference your shop manual. So, quick breakdown here. This is what we're going to look at. Another little quick tip for you guys out on the trails or something. You can also kind of listen to your spokes. It's kind of an old school trick, and they all should kind of chime the same. And you can tell between those two right there. Yep, see, that one was loose. Now it's the same. So
That sounds absolutely beautiful.
So when we tighten these spokes, first we're going to find our wrench that fits. It's this one. Okay, so we're going to start somewhere where we can remember. Red means go. So what we're going to do is snug this down. That one's already snug. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here. We're going to skip 2, grab those 2, and then we're going to go to the third one. We're going to check that. Skip 2, go to that one. Skip 2, go to that one. Pretty good so far. Skip 2, go to that one. Oh, that one was loose. Okay. Skip 2, go to that one. And what we're going to do is once we get all the way back around to where we started, we're going to repeat that pattern until we get all the way around the wheel, usually 3 times. And that will get us all even and done. So skip 2, and then we're back at the same one we started. So now when we get to this point, that's exactly where we started. We're going to go to the next one and do the same thing. So then skip 2, go on. So this is lap 2. Skip 2, go to that one. Oh, there's a loose one. Skip 2. Yep. Skip 2. Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting into some loose ones here, guys. So it's tight. Skip 2. So when we get all the way back around to where we started, we'll be on our last run through. So if you see here, I'm almost where I started. Now, if I count, this one was the one I was on. Skip 2. We're going on the next one. Excuse me, being our third one here. So, same thing, this is our last lap. Okay, with our front spokes tight, rear spokes tight, tires on, chain adjusted. We're going to lube that chain after we get it on the ground, start the bike up. Next, we're on to the tune-up portion of this thing. We love the Amsoil stuff, but this guy wants to stick with OEM stuff, so we're going to pull some Kawi, full synthetic. It's good oil. Can't really argue with it. Pair it up with a Kawasaki OEM filter, NGK. You guys already know the deal. It's the only stuff we'll run. If you run anything else, don't.
Putting in the man hours to study the science of what you need.
New air filter, Maxima. We're going to get our oil filter lube to go with that. Well, not lube. Oil filter oil. Tack it up. That'll pair well. So let's get the fluids out, the new stuff in. All right, here we go. This tank off here, get to our plug, check it, be able to read that, see how it's running. Make sure it's not too rich, too lean, anything like that. Get all the rest of this changed. Get these fluids dumped. We are definitely due for a service on this. It is actually, look at that, dry and coming apart. Yeah, definitely not good. Look at that, just coming right apart. So we'll take care of that. Get this plug off of here, get it read, and see what's going on with it. Moment of truth. See how this thing's been running. All right, we are loose. Let's drag it out of there. Man, not bad at all. Let me get you guys in here, show you this. So, really, no extra carbon. Our heat marks a little bit on the back here. But all in all, good read on that plug. Looks good. All right. We have preset gap on our plug. I'm going to drop her right in there slowly with a magnet so we don't bend our tang that we just gapped. Run it in by hand. Make sure we're not cross-threaded. Feels like we're going right in. So yeah, it looks like we're actually jetted pretty good on this thing. If not, it might be a little lean, but I really don't know how he rides. So, all right. One more snug. Beep. Perfect. All right, let's get some dielectric grease on here. So help keep any corrosion from sticking. Mush that in the boot so it's spread around evenly. Put a little bit around this thing here so it doesn't want to stick on us, and a little bit around this sealing surface so we don't get no water in there. And pop goes the weasel.
Go to Weezer, kind of Weezer say pop.
Yeah, sweet. Let's get this air filter changed. So as we were saying, this is pretty bad. I mean, it's just crumbling. So that could also be wrong oil put on it. Who knows? It's definitely not doing its job. So I'm glad we was able to get this here in a service, because once that stuff starts falling apart, it leaves back almost like a, I'm trying to say, it's almost like a crumbly mess. And the only thing protecting that from going through into our engine is just this little metal screen right here. Although that'll trap some stuff, it's definitely not as small of a micron as what the air filter is. So get this off here. I mean, yeah, look at that hole. We'll have to clean all this up. It's just gummed over. And this piece, yeah, this is going to be fun to clean off all this. So let's get something in here to get this scraped. Well, a couple metal brushes later, some brake cleaner. We've got this all cleaned off here. So, man, that was pretty bad with all that filter stuff just deteriorated and stuck to it. So we are ready to go ahead and pre-lube our filter with our spray-on air filter oil. What this does, if you want your filter dry, it still lets little small tiny dust particles, not really dirt clods or anything, but dust particles go right through this foam and still into your intake. What this oil does is help to capture any of that stuff. It's just like it almost becomes kind of sticky. So spraying this, coating the whole thing. We'll just put it on the outside, not the inside. But with a good coat on there, we're going to turn this inside out because it's got two different parts. This red is a finer foam. This blue is a more porous. So we're just going to squeeze that oil into our filter so it saturates it all. So yeah, I can see it coming through there. We're going to go ahead and wrap this on our cage being what goes inside the air box. So we got little pins on here that usually always line up with some locators on that. So flat side on, first pin in. Just go ahead and tuck it around, making sure not to rip it. Go locate our other pin on there. Great. So we're going to make sure that our edge here is right in the corner of our sealing face, which is this flat side. See how this is dipped in right here? We don't want that. We want to pull this back so that it's flat. See how it's flatter now. So we get a good sealing surface. Same thing here. This one's too far over. So we're going to pull it this way so it's flatter. All right. Now another point for entry on these filters is the sealing portion of this where it was all stuck for us. Something else we can do, seal tack grease. And we're going to put a really thin layer right on the edge of that. I'm talking real thin, guys, not a bunch. And what that is going to do for us is the mating surface between our filter and our cage housing. It's going to create a good actual seal where nothing can go around this and penetrate. All right, we're lined up there. Get our bolt on and get this back in the bike. All right, with our air filter in there, we're going to check our coolant level before we put the rest of this bike back together on top and change the oil. And we are definitely low. I wonder how low, because that is kind of low. Let's get some engine ice here and top it off. Guys, make sure you're just not dumping regular coolant in this stuff. We want to use something that's, like OAT, organic acid technology. We like to run engine ice. Oh, okay. Yeah, that only took. Yeah, sometimes it's deceiving because you can't see it. So it probably only took half a cup, which is kind of normal. So these bikes have an overflow tube. What they don't have is an overflow reservoir. So when you does get hot, it is going to overflow some, and it's normal for that to sit half inch or so below the water neckline. So that that gives me better peace of mind that was just a half a cup or so low, which isn't really low. It'll probably end up spitting that out, to be honest. All right, so good deal. Let's get this bike put back together. Get this oil drained. First, we're going to get this skid plate off. It does have a hole where we can drain the oil through it, but I like to see what's going on in here. Always clean it up a little bit if we can. It looks like we're definitely seeping a little bit of stuff here anyway, so there's one 10 millimeter right here that we can also take out to finish draining that sump. Most people only take out this one, but we'll go ahead and take out both. With that still draining underneath, we'll give it some air here and pop open our fill cap. Sometimes I can let it drain a little bit faster. We have to take off our oil filter housing. It does look like somebody's replaced that with some type of Allen key, which isn't right. Short one and a long one. Grab an Allen here. So what we don't want is to have the wrong size bolt in there. 6. So let's see. Hopefully it's not stripped out by somebody else or anything. Okay, it was in there. It wasn't super tight, wasn't super loose, so yeah, it looks like we're also got some threads. See that coming off of my hand? Some thread pieces, so maybe somebody stripped that out a little bit. We'll check full depth and put in a new bolt in there, as long as it's not stripped out. So get this cap off here and let this start to drain. There we go. Man, that was really suctioned on there. All right. There's our filter. That was really pretty dry in there. And we're still draining oil out. We'll cut this open and make sure we don't have any. We always like to check our filters for metal shards, glitter, signs of wear from internal engine failure or anything like that. This one just looks dirty. I really don't see much of anything else, but we'll pull it apart a little bit better and see if there's anything else in there. Get our filter spring. All right, we'll let this finish draining. Fill her up.
Yes, fill her up, goddammit.
All right, fresh Kawasaki OEM. Let's not forget our spring after we cleaned out our oil filter reservoir. This is going to go right here on the front. We also want to make sure we orientate this cap the correct way so the oil passages flow. Put that right on there. Good deal. We was also able to locate him a new bolt instead of that Allen. What was going on there, but hey, if it works, I guess. All right, now down here we have a sight glass for our oil level. Go ahead and dump a whole cord in here. And we'll watch our window on the bottom. Keeping in mind that it's going to take, roughly half a cup or so, a few ounces to soak our oil filter that's new. But we'll put one cord in here to start. That's really what it about all calls for. Start it up, let it cycle through, then check our sight glass again. Now we are showing a little bit over full, but like I said, once we start this thing up, it is gonna go down a little bit. Let's get our oil fill cap back on. Fire this thing up, let it cycle through, and then check our level again. Coolant burning off of the radiator where we filled it up. We're still at high idle. It's cold here, so. right, we just got done running this thing. It's totally up to temperature. So as you can see now on our sight window, we are just barely grazing the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and, now that our engine is got all the oil valleys full, the oil filter full, so on and so forth, I'm gonna add oil here. Shouldn't take much. Here we go, it's starting to rise up. And we're gonna stop right when we get to the top. So yeah, so that fills us up. We are good to go with that. Took basically a whole quart over there on the floor, and I mean, just didn't even have any. Yeah, so about 125 mil. So yeah, just a fuzz over what it calls for, which is kind of normal. So this thing's ready to go out of here. We're gonna hit it with some Amsoil Mudslinger. If you guys are familiar with SC1, basically the same stuff. So we're going to doctor up his plastics and send him home with a little shine. All right, well that pretty much does it for our 07 KX 450F pre-season freshen up. Got fresh oil, all new, good fluids, everything else topped off, chain adjusted, chain oiled, fresh tubes, fresh tires, check throttle free play, clutch free play, everything seems good to go. So we got his plastics soaking with really this Tusk stuff, the first line gloss, for about half the price of SC1 is also great. So with that being said, this one gave us not too much of a fight, which is good. We like those. So that one's out of here. As you can already see the next one coming in. We'll be filming that one next. That one's in here for some fork seals and a few other things. So thanks for watching. See you on the next one.